Shalom, shalom, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome back to Reading with Shiloh. What's up, baby? I'm out here. Shiloh. Yeah, I'll put that in there. 2 in there. What's up, y'all? Ready, man? We're here to start. We're here to start the next book, man. The next sea of pages on the list. Next sea of pages. Welcome to part 1. Part 1, the beginning, the preface. The preface, or the beginning of the book, man. The beginning of Africans in Colonial, Louisiana by GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. There's a little waxy color to it. It's an older book. It's a book that's been sitting on my shelf for years, man. Years that I have not taken part in reading. So we're gonna go ahead and get to it. Oh man, I hope everybody's having a wonderful one, man. I've been tired, man. Tired. My body hurt. Oh, my body hurt. But I've been moving and doing shit, man. I succeeded today at a bunch of stuff. I got some potatoes down. I got what I put up a ceiling fan today. Shit, man. Me and my sons, with the help of my sons, we put a ceiling fan up. Or replaced the ceiling fan. Replaced one. Shit. Got some other plants down. I got me a compost pile started. Shit, I'm on the move. I'm on the move. Even did a little something, even though my body was hurting. Even did a little something. We're going to do a little something today, man. I ain't about to do this 750 today. I mean, it's 700. I ain't going to do 700 working out today. My body hurt. My body hurt. So since my body hurt, we're going to lay off some of the work and recuperate and heal. Oh, man. But, hey, we are ready to start. Shit, I don't know. Walmart. Shalom, Jean. Or Jen. I'm not sure. Walmart, I guess. Wally World. I don't know. I've been having that thing for years, man. Well, maybe not years, but definitely some time. Oh, man. Well, idolatry. Some dude, idolatry. Yeah, but we're going to read on the Africans in Colonial Louisiana today. That's what we're going to pick up on in Reading with Shiloh. In this episode of Reading with Shiloh, part one of the book, man. We already didn't assassinate, or at least I have. I've assassinated 27 books. This will be book number 28 on the list. Book 28. Ooh. It done got cold down here. What up, what up? We about to read. We about to read. That's what's going on, Joshie. We about to read. We about to read, man. We about to get in there and read in a minute. Pick back up on the 28th book. The 28th book of Reading with Shiloh, part 1. This is part 1. We're just starting the Sea of Pages by Ms. GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall, Africans in Colonial Louisiana. The development of Afro-Creole culture in the 18th century. I decided to read this one based on, we just got finished reading the Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution. Since we just got finished reading that one, within that book and the book before, which was also about Toussaint Louverture, it was a lot of the Haitians during the insurrections who were brought to Louisiana and dropped off in New Orleans, and they had to do a big thing to try to stop the insurrections from coming from Haiti to Louisiana, which they already were happening. So this book, I think, may coincide or go parallel to the other books, the last 2 books that I read. So being that we're gonna go ahead and finish this one because I've been having this one on my shelf for a while. So, and I've never read it. Even though I've looked at it a couple of times, but it's based like it's based or is written from what I see similar to like you would take this book in a class, like a college course or something like that. So we're going to go ahead and sift through it. We're going to sift through it. We're going to roll through it, see what treasures we can unearth, you know, what we can learn and grow from, if anything in here. Yeah, I've been growing my beard 9 years, man. It's been 9. This is the second. I had cut it off. I had cut it down, and this is 9 years later. It was long before as well. But we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep pushing, man. I'm only due. We still got to get with the program since we have breath to breathe and we have all we need to succeed, man. So the program is still going, we still got to get pushing on that, which is work your body, work your mind, and work your body again. But I'm not doing a lot tonight, man. I'm not going to do a lot tonight. I'll probably do 100 push-ups. I mean, not 100 push-ups. We're going to do 100 jumping jacks for sure. And I think I'm going to do 100 mountain climbers. And maybe 50 push-ups, maybe I might do that. But I ask of you to do something. Get off your ass and do something to help build a routine, a better routine, so we can try to better ourselves, man, and push ourselves to do better, be better. And health is wealth is what they say. Health is wealth. Health is part of you being better. Damn, I ain't know I've been on this 7 minutes already. Shit. But we here, man. We trying to learn some shit. Do some shit. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell you people shallow out here, man. We about to learn some shit, read some shit, do some shit, exercise some shit. Hopefully we don't break no shit. Build some shit. Yeah, but let's get it, man. Let's go ahead and get the jumping jacks out the way. Jumping jacks and mountain climbers, we're gonna get them out the way for sure. Even if I don't do the push-ups, we'll see about them. We'll see about them. But for sure, 100 jumping jacks, 100 mountain climbers, and then we'll move on and go ahead and get the preface started, man. We're gonna read about an hour tonight. We'll read about an hour. An hour and go. An hour and go. Man, I might need to go get my damn necklace. I forgot my necklace in the front. Oh, my necklace. Where my necklace at? Oh, where my necklace at? Anyway. Oh, Lord. Oh. All my legs. All my inside my body hurt. Oh, Lord. My body hurt. Let's get it. 100 jumping jacks, man. Shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 6, 7, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 6, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 6, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 67, 68, 9, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 6, 27, 28, 29, 80, 81, 2, 83, 4, 85, 6, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 2, 93, 4, 95, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100. Oh, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. Come on, do something. Get off of your ass. do something. You got to start somewhere. Jumping jacks work for me, man. I know that's one part that within my exercising that definitely helps. And I hate running. I hate to run. I ride my bicycle, but I hate to run. Mountain climbers, they do all right. I just hate doing them. Jumping jacks, I hate doing them too, but when I feel like I'm feeling fat or whatever, jumping jacks is definitely, if I can do at least 200 a day, at least that, maybe more. When I was doing about 1,000 push-ups a day, shit. If I could add that to the jumping jacks, man, until I hurt my shoulder, shit, it was all right. But let's get these mountain climbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 31, 2, 33, 4, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Whew. And I should have just been counting them by ones. I'd be on 80 right now. If I was counting them one on each leg, shit. Shit. 40. Whew. 1, 2, 3, 4, 45, 46, 7, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 4, 55, 6, 57, 58, 59. Oh, Lord, shit. Oh, hell. I can feel them. Can you feel it? This guy can feel them hoes. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73. Oh, fuck. You gotta push through those. 73. 4, 5, 76, 77, 78, 9, 80, 1, 82, 3, 84, 5, 86, 87, 88. Oh, fuck, man. 88. I'm tired. My body hurt. 88, 88, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Fuck. I'm tired. I don't even feel like myself. Give me a minute, man. I'm gonna get my necklace. Ooh, shit. Yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna do. I ain't gonna do no push-ups today. I had to go get my necklace. Man, them mountain climbs is good for muffin top. You got a muffin top? Knock that muffin top out with mountain climbers. Shit. Well, let's get to the book. We didn't work our body, we did something. It's something better than nothing, man. Something is better than nothing. It's better that we do something. Anyway, Ooh, my legs, my poor little legs, all my thighs. My thighs is burning. The back, the top, my calves is burning. But it's time for some learning. All right, man. Let's get started in Miss Gwendolyn's book. Since we done worked our body, it's time to work our mind. And we'll work our body on the end one more time. We'll do the same thing. 100 jumping jacks, 100 mountain climbers. And we'll be through it. We're going to read about an hour. Or at least when the live gets to about an hour, I'll stop. So it'll probably be 45-minute read. Africans in Colonial, Louisiana by Gwendolyn MIDLO Hall. The preface of the book. This is part one. This is part one, the beginning of the book. Let's start it. Now, Southern history, hey, and if you're new here, before we get started, if you're new here, if it comes up to a word that I don't understand, I'll either look it up on the dictionary or I'll use a terminator, but either way it goes, it's going to be looked up. So we're going to take the time and pause for the cause and look it up to see. So help us get a better understanding of what's trying to be said. Hopefully it's something you can learn from it. Hopefully it's something we all can learn from it. Preface. Now, Southern history has long played the role of myth reinforcing racism. And while a great deal of progress has been made since World War II in rewriting the history of the Chesapeake and the Carolinas, the history, especially the colonial history of Louisiana, has been badly neglected. And this neglect stems partially from the Anglophone orientation of American historians. Let's see what the Anglophone. Anglophone. Okay. All the documentation for colonial Louisiana is in French and Spanish, and both languages are necessary to study the Spanish, as well as the French period. And the manuscripts are scattered about in France, Spain, and Louisiana. And furthermore, Louisiana's history, especially the history of race relations, cannot be fit into neat, rigid categories. In colonial Louisiana, there was more chaos than order. And the study of any one historical question taken out of context leads to serious distortions. Now, colonial Louisiana was a complex, changing society that responded to a great extent to international pressures. National history must be transcended and colonial history treated within a global context. Now, in Louisiana, it is especially important to avoid treating the formation of slave culture in isolation as if it were sealed off from the rest of society and the world. Culture is a dynamic process. The definition of culture as socially acquired knowledge, as according to Goodall, what people have to learn as distinct from their biological heritage, whatever it is, one has to know or believe in order to operate in a manner acceptable to its members, is far too static. And Eric R. Wolf's redefinition of culture as a series of processes that construct, reconstruct, and dismantle cultural materials in response to identifiable determinants is closer to the mark. And in the Americas, new cultures were formed through intense and often violent contacts among peoples of varied nations, races, classes, languages, and traditions. And the Europeans, in his equations, were far from omnipotent. Now, it is wrong to assume that there was an all-powerful, static national culture and society brought over by the European colonizers, into which non-Europeans were more or less socialized and cultured, and cultural influence intensely interpenetrated the extremely varied population of the Americas, like the Indians and the Africans, and the Europeans were cultured. Let me see if I'm pronouncing that shit right. Were cultured by the peoples and by the world they encountered. Accultured. accultured. Is that rain? Sound like rain. A culture definition. A culture. Acculturation. How do you pronounce it? To familiarize oneself with and adapt the new culture, especially by an immigrant. I accultured myself very easily when I moved from Chile to Brazil, Portuguese being similar to Spanish, accultured. Let's see what the other word was. Anglophone. Anglophone.
Here's the definition of Anglophone. English speaking.
This neglect stems partially from the English-speaking orientation of the American historians. All right. Yeah, that's why they said you needed French and Spanish. Now, patterns of behavior and response among newcomers, whether European or African, were molded by the situation they encountered when they arrived, and the cultural assumptions they brought with them were often useless and had to be modified or discarded. Now, in French Louisiana, there was a long period of chaos and violence, and these conditions selected the most plastic, open, flexible elements from among the distinct cultures of the red, white, and black peoples who met and mingled. And almost constant warfare and frequent famine subjected acquired beliefs and standards of behavior to enormous stress. And the shift from French to Spanish and then to American rule did not allow for a stable model of behavior and belief that could be enforced by the larger social structure. Yeah, too much back and forth, too much from here to there. I can see that. I can see that. The Louisiana experience calls into question the assumption that African slaves could not regroup themselves in language and social communities derived partly from the sending cultures. This study focuses to some extent on the changing patterns of introduction of Africans of specific ethnic groups, ages, and genders, and the conditions they encountered that allowed them to adapt and reinterpret elements of the cultures they brought with them. And it firmly embraces a dynamic and a developmental approach to cultural formation and explicitly rejects the structuralist approach, avoiding a masculine version of power and control, which assumes that culture is a static thing passed on and enforced from the top of the social hierarchy. Culture is a creation of the folk and is passed on to a great extent by parents, especially by biological mothers and women who played the role of mothers for the whites as well as for the Afro-Creoles. Now, cultural materials were more or less functional in a dynamic world and were preserved or discarded mainly in response to their uselessness or usefulness to the agonizing process of survival while a new world was being created. Culturally, all Americans owe a deep debt to Africa, and colonial Louisiana left behind a heritage and tradition of official corruption, defiance of authority by the poor of all races, and violence, as well as a brutal, racist tradition that was viewed by its ruling groups as the only means of containing its contempt, well-organized and self-confident and defiant Afro-Creole population, which is still at this day. But it also left behind a tradition of racial openness that could never be entirely repressed. And I wish to acknowledge the help of colleagues who were kind enough to read chapters and drafts of this manuscript and given much needed help and encouragement. And among my colleagues at Rutgers University, my obligations to Robert A. Rosenberg of the Edison Papers. Have I heard that name before? I think I read that name in another book. My obligations to Robert A. Rosenberg of the Edison Papers run deep for his enthused, generous attention to my early problems with the database. And Rudolph M. Bell, Paul G. E. Clemens, Tilden G. Eldenstein and Gerald N. Grob, Alan M. Howard, and the late Warren Sussman and Tryon Stoyanovich, all of the history department, and Andres Pereira E. Mena of the Department of Puerto Rican and Hispanic Caribbean Studies have all read portions of the earlier versions of the manuscript. And colleagues throughout the profession have been extremely generous with their time and attention. And Stanley Eagerman read an earlier draft chapter by chapter, sending prompt and detailed comments. Michael Cratton, David Gegas, Arnold Hirsch, John Holm, Morris F. Goodman, Joseph Logsden, Patrick Manning, and Puritan Dumont, Paul LeChance, Richard Price, John Singler, Ibrahim K. Sundata, Emila Viota da Costa, and Eric R. Wolf all read portions of the earlier draft, and John H. Clark allowed me to read to him the chapter on Senegambia and gave helpful suggestions. Now, I am deeply indebted to Ira Berlin for a careful reading of a recent draft, giving frank and extremely useful comments and suggestions. And Eugene D. Gonaviz worked graciously within the framework of my short press deadline, sending his insightful comments upon the final version of the manuscript. David Hackett Fisher sent encouraging words about the importance of the book. And I wish to thank the Rutgers Research Council and the Rutgers Rutgers Faculty Academic Studies Program and the Rutgers President's Coordinating Council on International Programs and the United States Fulbright Commission, the National Endowment for the Humanities, Travel to Collections Program, and the Program for Cooperation between the Ministry of Culture of Spain and the United States universities for making it possible for me to travel to Europe and work in archives in France and Spain. I also wish to thank the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities for financial assistance towards preparing the illustrations, and Paul Estrade of the Institut d'Etudes Hispaniques at Hispanic Americans of the University of Paris, the 8th, and the Equipe de Recherches Historiques des Antilles Hispaniques, was kind enough to invite me to spend the most stimulating year working with him and his colleagues. Boy, there's a lot of, I hope that's not what it's going to be. A lot of Spanish is going to, well, it probably will be. It probably will be a lot of fluctuation between Spanish names and French names. Enriqueta Villavelal of the Escuela de Estudios Hispanico Americano and Justina Sabrino Viejo of the University of Seville were most gracious and helpful to me during my research in Seville, and Hernan de Granda of the Departamento de Filioliga, Universidad de Valladolid in Spain, extended his department's hospitality to me during my research at the Archivo de Samanicas, and Jean-Pierre Piat of the University of Dakar was most kind and helpful to me in polishing my oral French during my lecture tour of Francophone Africa, and Mohammed Mbouj of the History Department, University of Dakar, gave me the privilege of intellectual exchange with him and with his graduate students. I wish to acknowledge my obligations to the following persons and the archives. Above all, the Archives Nationales in Paris and its wonderful staff, who bent all the rules for me while I spent several months studying some very difficult documents, and the Archive de Port de Laurent, the Archivo General de Indias in Seville, the Archivo de Samancas, the Archivo Histórico Nacional in Madrid, the Amistad collection of Tulane University, where I was most effectively assisted by Ulysses S. Richard Jr., and the historic New Orleans collection, where Dr. Alfred E. Lemon guided me around the microfilm collection of the Spanish documents. Stephen J. Rentenhart at the Louisiana Historical Center of the Louisiana State University, New Orleans Public Library, where I was generously assisted by Colin Hammer, Sally Reeves of the Notarial Archives, and Orleans Parish City Civil Court, Una Diagre of the Catholic Life Center of the Archdiocese of Baton Rouge, and the Family History Center of East Brunswick, New Jersey, branch of the Mormon Genealogy Library, which allowed me to consult invaluable microfilm copied of documents from Point Capee Parish, and where Helen J. Rogers extended every courtesy to me, squeezing me in with busy, dedicated genealogists. Now, several women outside of the profession have given me invaluable help. Vilma Perez, Secretary of the Department of Puerto Rico and Hispanic Caribbean Studies, and Rutgers University gave me her good-natured support. And Louis Katz Brown has been consistently enthusiastic and supportive. Now, Janine Netter, friend of my youth in Paris, gave me his hospitality and enthusiastic interest in my work when I returned to Paris after 32 years. My sister, Roselle Lehman, took care of my affairs while I was abroad and has always been there for me. And my son, Leo Youssef has been enthusiastic and supportive of my work during the times when parts of him came back. And I wish to acknowledge my debt to my father, the late Herman L. Midlo, for shared interest in the example he set, and to my mother, Ethel Midlo, a strong and independent-minded woman whose help was never lacking, and even when she did not approve. And that was the preface. A lot of names in that thing, a lot of names. Africans in colonial Louisiana, I guess this is chapter 1. Chapter 1, settlers, soldiers, Indians, and officials, the chaos of French rule. And this is about the time, I bet this is going to be about the time of Toussaint. The colonization of the Americas was the earliest stage of the internationalization of the world. And new cultures were formed through the encounter of peoples from Europe, Africa, and the Americas. Now, varying social and cultural patterns emerged, determined to a great extent by the economy, labor demands and necessary skills, the physical environment, the priorities of the colonizing power, the racial, national, gender, and age structure of the population, and the level of peace, security, and stability prevailing in the various colonies. Louisiana, first colonized by France, was a strategic colony where military considerations outweighed economic concern, and French control was extremely fragile. French Louisiana was a chaotic world where the cultural materials brought by Africans often turned out to be the most adaptive. The founding of French Louisiana must be understood within the context of the French Empire in North America. Now, France's primary concern was to prevent England from gaining control of the mouth of the Mississippi River. And by colonizing the Mississippi Valley, France intended to outflank and surround the British mainland colonies along the Atlantic coast. And with control of Canada, the St. Lawrence Waterway, and the Mississippi Valley, France could dominate the continent. And at the end of the 17th century, France, Britain, and Spain rushed to claim the strategic Mississippi River Valley. France explored down the Mississippi River from her Canadian settlements and staked her claim, establishing a beachhead at Biloxi in 1699 on what is now the Mississippi coast of the Gulf of Mexico. France was ill-equipped to begin this ambitious undertaking, and the country was exhausted by the wars of Louis XIV, and the War of the Spanish Succession began in 1702, and shortly after, Louisiana was founded and raged for more than a decade. and France's population had been drained and reduced to dire poverty, and its treasury bankrupted by protracted warfare. An ambitious continental power with no national boundaries to protect its frontier, France was reluctant to allow the departure of its useful population, and this vast colony, which included the entire Mississippi Valley, was therefore thinly populated by whites, and many of whom were the rejects of France's society, the defiant ones, both civilians and soldiers, who challenged and threatened the brutal and exploitative social structure of pre-revolutionary France. And others were Canadian coureurs de bois, fur traders, who lived in Indian villages and often took Indian women for wives. And many French settlements of lower Louisiana began in Indian villages. That's what they say, Opelousas. Where I'm from used to be the place of the Opelousas Indians. Which is why it's called Opelousas. But the Opelousas Indians, I believe, was an offshoot of the Choctaw, I believe. I don't know if that's going to come up in here or not. The first census of Biloxi, dating from December 1699, lists 5 officers, at least 2 of whom were Canadians, 5 petty officers, 4 sailors, 19 Canadians, 13 pirates from the Caribbean. I was about to say Pirates of the Caribbean. 13 pirates from the Caribbean, 10 laborers, 6 cabin boys, and 20 soldiers. And with this motley crew, France established her claim to the entire Mississippi Valley at the coast of the Gulf and the coast of the Gulf of Mexico, between the Spanish colonies of Florida and New Spain, which is Mexico. The colony developed slowly, and according to a census taken on August the 1st, 1706, Louisiana had a total of 85 French and Canadian inhabitants, 48 of whom were in the pay of the king. And on August the 12th, 1708, there were in all of Louisiana 278 persons of French settlements, including 80 Indian slaves of both sexes, 14 major officers, 76 soldiers, including 4 army officers, 13 sailors, including 4 marine officers, 3 Canadians, one of whom served as interpreter for the Chickasaw language, and 1 valet, 3 priests, 6 workers, and 6 cabin boys, who had been, or mooses, who had been brought in to learn Indian languages, as well as to serve on sea and land, and the garrison totaled 120 men. Aside from Indian slaves, the military personnel, there were only 24 male settlers, 28 women, and 25 children, none of whom had assigned land. And the Canadian coureurs de bois were the best adapted colonizers. Those were the fur traders. But they were not considered legitimate settlers, and the 1708 census mentions over 60 wandering Canadians who are in the Indian villages situated along the Mississippi River without the permission of any governor, and who destroy by their bad and libertine conduct with the Indian women all that the missionaries and others teach the savages about the divine mysteries of the Christian religion. Yeah, they destroy that, huh? View of the camp of John Law at Biloxi. The original print dates back from December of 1720. It looked like they're alongside the Indians in there. See, all the camps go way back here. All those are like buildings, or what can be considered. I wouldn't call them huts. Wouldn't call them huts. Now, when Anton Crasset turned Louisiana over to John Law's Company of the West in 1717, the French population, including men, women, and children, totaled only about 400. The Company of the West was a private company that issued and sold shares. and it was granted a monopoly of Louisiana's trade for 25 years of the Canadian beaver trade in perpetuity, and it was given ownership of lands and mines, as well as the right to build fortifications and to nominate company directors and colonial officials. The king assumed the responsibility for manning and maintaining the forts and garrisons and for furnishing Indian presence. The Company of the West was expanded to include the Company of Senegal in December 1718, and the Company of China and the East Indian Company of 1719, and the Company of Saint Dominic and the Company of Guyana in September of 1720. Now, this conglomerate was there renamed the Company of the Indies. The advent of John Law and the Company of the West opened the way to the true colonization of Louisiana and its transformation from simply a weak military garrison. And permanent settlers were brought from France in significant numbers. But it was hard to find volunteer colonists in France, and there was, moreover, a great reluctance to allow useful subjects to leave the country. Now, Louis XIV had resisted the notion of populating his colonies by forcing indigent subjects to go to America, but these qualms died with him. And when the Company of the Indies began to colonize Louisiana, a new philosophy prevailed. The French colonization of Louisiana became, to a great extent, a penal colonization. Shit. Shit. Maybe that's why all these jails and all this shit down here. Louisiana became, to a great extent, a penal colonization. Man. And during 1717 and 1718, the sentences of prisoners who had been condemned to the galleys were commuted, and after they were to be given part of the land that they had cleared and cultivated, and the prisoners were brought to the ports under heavy guard and chained aboard the ships. And also during this period, soldiers who had deserted, vagabonds, and persons without means were placed upon lists of those to be deported to Louisiana. And some had been arrested for acts of violence, murderers, debauchery, and drunkenness, all which Louisiana has trouble with. But they were mostly beggars and vagabonds from Paris and all the provinces of France. And by 1719, deportation to Louisiana had become a convenient way to get rid of troublesome neighbors or family members. And some families asked for deportation of incorrigible sons, daughters, and nephews. Persons from all social milieux were denounced for their conduct, and police inquiries were held. And comments found in police files included, "Here is a true subject for Louisiana, and a very bad subject who deserves to be among those who are destined for the new colonies." And during 1719, 416 men, accompanied by 30 women and children, were deported from France to Louisiana. And during the same year, 134 more women were deported. Many other women had escaped while being forced toward the ports, and some of the women had been removed from dungeons, and one had been accused of 15 murders. And most of these women were in their 30s and had been accused of theft, debauchery, sometimes with married men, prostitution, repeated lies, blasphemy, irreligion, and assassination. And some were put on the deportation list at the request of their families. Now, the superior of Salpêtrière asked that a number of women be deported because of their rebellion in prison, and the sister superior asked to deliver l'hôpital and the public from the number of seditious women. And by July 1719, there were more than 220 women on the deportation list. Damn. It was just getting them out of there. A special police force received a head tax for each person apprehended for possible deportation, and members of the force roamed around Paris and the provinces grabbing people for profit, and their actions often based upon false accusations. Bloody collisions took place in Paris between these police brigades and the population, and kidnappings occurred. Fights between police and potential deportees, as well as full-scale riots, erupted in the streets. And there were also riots among prisoners in Paris awaiting deportation to Louisiana. And on January 1st, 1720, the prison of Saint Martin de Chops held 107 prisoners destined for Louisiana. 50 men and women forced the doors, wounded 2 guards, and fled. And in order to restore public peace in France, the king on May 9th, 1720, forbade further forced deportation to Louisiana. And in French Louisiana, usefulness was the overriding virtue for immigrants, transcending race, nation, humanity, and any other consideration. The deportees were not considered utils by officials in Louisiana. What is a util? A util. Utils. Not YouTube, sucker. Utils. Utils. Cardinal utility is the idea of measuring economic value through imaginary units, known as utils. Marginal utility is the utility gained by consuming an additional unit of a service or good. Utils. I don't think that's what it means in this concept. In programming and software development, utils or utility functions refers to a collection of small, reusable functions or classes that perform common tasks or operations often used across multiple parts of a project. It could probably be that. It could probably be that. It could still mean that, even though it might be different, it could still mean that. A report on June 1720 referring to colonists sent by a squadron led by de Chaudron and by the ship Les Defries commented, "Without wishing to criticize the conduct of the directors, I dare say that one should not be deluded into believing that it is possible to establish the colony with persons who were incapable of discipline in France, especially since it is noted that a man who was an excellent subject becomes a mediocre subject in America, and a mediocre subject becomes very bad. And we do not know the reason of the deterioration, and some attribute it to the food, which does not have the same substances as in Europe, and to a greater dissipation of the mind, or to other causes. And regardless to the reason, the fact is certain. What can one accept from a branch of vagabonds and wrongdoers in a country where it is harder to repress licentiousness than in Europe? And between October 25th of 1717 and May 1721, the Company of the Indies sent 43 ships, which, in addition to Desonge's squadron, embarked 7,020 colonists. Table 1 gives the breakdown of the colonists according to the report written sometimes after 1721. About 2,000 whites died during the crossing because of the mistreatment by the captains, or they deserted or returned to France. Let's see, the list, the table 1 list goes: officers 120, soldiers 970, employees 43, workers of the company of the Indies 302, holders of land concessions 119, their indentured servants 2,462, salt smugglers and other exiles 1,278, women 1,215, children 502, for a total of 7,020 people. Now, from this information, one could estimate that about 5,420 whites should remain in the colony. And however, a census dated January 1st, 1726, the first complete census of the entire colony, lists 1,952 French citizens, including Germans, and 276 indentured servants. This drastic drop in population was due largely to an extremely high mortality rate among those white immigrants, both voluntary and forced. Now, in 1729, the Natchez Indians and their allies revolted against the French settlers and destroying 1/10 of the white population. The Company of the Indies gave up the colony to the French crown in 1731, and many white settlers left, and particularly no new colonists came. The dangerous Indian frontier, poverty, famine, anarchy, and chaos depleted the population and discouraged new immigration. Louisiana was viewed as an expensive, burdensome military outpost, and its colonization with permanent settlers was practically abandoned by France. Now, Durand de Artegut, writing from Mobile, described conditions prevailing in 1733. Our planters and merchants here are dying of hunger, and those at New Orleans are in no better situation, and some are clamoring to return to France, and others secretly running away to the Spaniards at Pensacola. The colony is on the verge of being depopulated, and in 1738, Edme Gatien de Salmon, commissioner ordinator, wrote to the Ministry of the Colonies that many settlers had left during the past few years, and none at all had entered the colony, and the numbers of settlers were decreasing every day, and there had been a heavy mortality among children that year. But about 1740, the white population had been reduced to less than 1,200, including troops as well as settlers, and they were all dispersed. And a report from about that time stated, if it is left in this situation without increasing the population, a catastrophe will happen, and it is too expensive to be held on to. Little by little, the colony is destroying itself. And in 1740, Salmon wrote a communique to the colonial ministry stating that he hoped for some salt smugglers on the next vessel of the king because the colony was being depopulated. And these convicts were needed to replace the voyagers who had been killed during the various defeats suffered by their traders in the Illinois country. We still got a ways to go to get to chapter 2. still got a ways to go. I think I'm gonna stop it right there. We're gonna stop it right there. We're gonna stop it right there. That was the preface and the first part of chapter 1. The first part of chapter 1. A lot of historical information so far. A lot of historical information. Man, Louisiana always been fighting, man, from the jump. From the jump, they were sending the vagabonds and the murderers and the drunkards. Man, prostitutes, blasphemers, shit. Louisiana must have been a wretched place for them people, and especially for that. That's why you got like Angola and shit here like that. You probably still have a lot of them fighting spirits, and Louisiana is a place for drunkards. For sure, man. There's always some shit going on, man. Down here, always some shit going on. It don't say much. All them censuses that they took, seem to be just the censuses of the French people, the Canadians and the Germans that they sent through here to build up the colonies. But so far, the only thing that I heard was concerning the Natchez Indians, which were fighting and killing people within the territory. So, yeah, I guess. I don't know about who else, if they're going to start going into any other Indians right now. I think I read somewhere about the Choctaw in there, but we'll have to see. But that has been part one of The Africans in Colonial Louisiana by GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. We're going to continue to see if it's like a history book, and so far it is. This kind of is like a history book. It's a lot of history. Something that notes would have to be taken on. Like if I was in, like I could see how this would be like a class book. A lot of names, a lot of dates. But the basis is Louisiana was a hard place to take control of. And because it was such a hard place to take control of, and most likely the environment was hard, a lot of swamp. Them people of the French descent wasn't used to that, which is why the fur traders from Canada, that's why they made out so good. Because not to say that they was used to swamps, but because they was always in the woods, because they lived their life kind of in those type of hunting environments. They was kind of used to certain things, and they had probably a better chance of going out there and getting food compared to the people of France at that time, even though because they came from where they was, want to say civilized or whatever, but where they had buildings and they probably wasn't growing and hunting their own food for real out there at that time. So to come to a place like Louisiana, where even though now it's called the sportsman's paradise, them people wasn't sportsmen back then. Them people wasn't that. The closest thing to that was the fur traders. When we're looking at the so-called white folks that came over here, of the French and the Spanish, but the Indians were well climatized, as you could say, well climatized to the area, so they didn't have no problem living down here and fishing and hunting in the swamps and this and that, to get their food. It was probably living good, as as far as like they knew all what the herbs and what the edible things was. It was probably easy for them, and those things had to be taught, and they wasn't going to be taught over the period of wars or over the fighting and the skirmishes that was going on. As they said, it was a time of violence and chaos. and people was dying left and right. You know, children was dying. The environment wasn't always hospitable for them. So you didn't have time to really teach certain things, and the only ones who, from what they mentioned, who were, I don't want to say in cahoots, but in close proximity to the Indians to learn anything for real, were the fur traders. The fur traders who went to live with the Indians. They probably found it more at home, a more homey environment. I was down there with the natives, the native people of Louisiana land. I wonder who decided to call it Louisiana. Was it the French? Was it the French decided to call it Louisiana, or is that named after King Louis the 14th? Where does Louisiana get its name? Yeah, Louis the 14th. The state of Louisiana is named after King Louis the 14th of France, specifically by the French explorer Robert uh, Cavalier, Sieur de La Salle, who claimed the territory in 1682. At one point, where I'm from, Opelousas used to be the capital. Opelousas used to be the capital of Louisiana. Opelousas is the third oldest city or town in Louisiana. What was Louisiana's original name? La Louisiane. What's Louisiana's nickname? The Pelican State, after the state bird. The oldest city in Louisiana is Natchitoches. Shit, I didn't know that. Maybe that's because due to the fighting in. What is the oldest black city in Louisiana? Treme. Why is Louisiana predominantly black? History: the first enslaved people of Africa arrived in Louisiana in 1719 on the Orly slave ship from Wadi. Only a year after the founding of New Orleans, and 23 slave ships brought black slaves to Louisiana and French Louisiana along almost all embarking prior to 1730. Let me see what it's talking about. The Opelousas Indians. The Opelousas Indians. The Opelousas were an indigenous people who lived in the southeastern woodlands of Louisiana, now present day Louisiana. Now present day Opelousas, and the city is named after them. They were a band of the historic Attakapaw tribe, and at various times they allied with the neighboring Attakapaw and Chittimaca peoples. The Opelousas lived in the area near present-day Opelousas, Louisiana, west of the lower Mississippi River in the 18th century. And the Attakapaw tribe, they were a band of historic Attakapaw tribe, which was made up of 4 sovereign bands, each with 1 or more villages. Opelousas were related to the Attakapaw tribe linguistically. What is Opelousas? Yeah, Jim Bowie supposed to come from Opelousas. What is Opelousas famous for? Yeah, Zydeco Spice. What does Opelousas mean in English? So the name Opelousas can trace its origin back many hundreds of years. Opelousas has been interpreted as meaning different things. Some of the meaning include black hair, black foot, black water, man with black leg, black head, and even salt water. Black hair. The Opelousas Indians. According to this information, the Opelousas are said to have been part of the Attakapaw tribes of Louisiana. The Opelousas is the 3rd oldest city. Attakapaw Opelousas Prairie Tribe. The Attakapaw Opelousas Prairie Tribe, also known as the Ishak, are an indigenous people who historically lived in southwest Louisiana and southeastern Texas, with their territory stretching from Vermilion Bay to Galveston Bay. So that might be, see, my grandfather told me that his mama lived in the woods. It was in the woods till she was like 18, something like that. He was 18, and she didn't speak English, and she was an Indian. So she might have been one of them Ishak or Opelousas Indians or the Attakapaws. What is the Attakapaw tribe known for? Oh man, maybe that's why I do a lot of stuff I do. The Attakapaw people is spelled Attakapaw, Attakapaws, or Attakapaw, call themselves the Ishak. Pronounced Ishak, the Ishak, which meant the people, a hunting and gathering tribe. They lived along the Gulf of Mexico and the river valleys, lake shores, and coast of Galveston. Hey, that's what I do, baby. Hunt and fish. My papa loved to be in the woods. My boy still 92 years old, still hunting and fishing. He damn be in the woods almost every day. 92, still getting around good, you know. helping me build on my house, helping this man, the man, the myth, the legend. He said he used to call him the Gita man back in the day. He said when he was growing up, not just growing up, but pretty much all throughout his life, he was a carpenter, but throughout his life, he made a living off of hunting and trapping. You know, hunting, trapping, fishing. This is the way he made his living. You know, so putting food on the table. And that's a lot of stuff I have in my mind. You know, put food on the table. I like to go out there and get it, man. I might have to find. They say they got an Opelousas Prairie Tribe Festival. I didn't know nothing about that. But that, you know, seeing this and reading this, knowing this, is why the Black Indians is going to be such a good book for the next book to read after this. Knowing these things, you know, that may be more my heritage as far as like the people, Indian, the so-called Indians that was down here. You know, a lot of people think they just black folks or copper colored people. A lot of people just think, or they think they're Africans because of the color of their skin. But the Indians, the so-called Indians, were of similar copper colored tones. The way our hair is, you know, all that plays into it. But hey, that was part one. That was part one. Look, that part one show made me think and go off into a tangent and something else concerning the Indians here. They had a lot of mixture of that, Indians and the Africans here in Louisiana, which why it's such a diverse culture down here. It's so many things down here, you know, so many things to do. So many, the different foods, the different, what you call it, the different foods, the different languages. Just, you could tell, you know, a lot of people from Louisiana, you could tell where people from by how they talk, you know. Listen, but let's go ahead and get into our jumping jacks. Let's go ahead and do our last little workout. We done worked our body, worked our mind. Let's work our body one last time, and then we're gonna go ahead and dip out. We're gonna go ahead and end this session of reading with SHALOM. Oh man, oh good googly. 100 jumping jacks, 100. I'm gonna count them by ones this time on the on the damn mountain climbers, man. I'm gonna count them by ones. I ain't gonna count them by twos. Shit. every other one. I ain't gonna do that. Not this time. Not this time. But we'll go ahead and do these 100 jumping jacks and get it out the way. Shit, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 6, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 6, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 3, 74, 5, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 1, 82, 3, 84, 5, 56, 7, 88, 89, 90, 1, 92, 3, 94, 95, 96, 7, 98, 99, 100. Whoo! When I be doing jumping jacks, I feel like I'm back in the army, yeah. I feel like I'm back in the army, baby. Let's do these mountain climbers and get them out the way. Whew. I'm tired. Oh man, I'm tired. Oh, let's get it. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 50, 50. Oh yeah, I was right. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 58, 59, 60, 61, 64, 65, 68, 69, 70, 71, 3, 74, 75, 8, 79, 80, 82, 82, shit. Even these 100, 82. Oh man. 83, 4, 5, 96, 8, 9, 90, 91, 92, 93, 5, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Oh man. Oh shit. Well, even though my body was hurting, man, we had to do something. We had to do something. You have all you need to succeed, baby. We succeeded. We succeeded today in many things earlier. We succeeded tonight in reading with SHILO. We started off the next sea of pages. Part 1, baby, part 1. We'll keep pushing. We'll keep pushing one day at a time, one book at a time, baby. One episode, one part at a time. Whew. One chapter at a time, one page at a time, one paragraph at a time. One sentence, one word, here a little, there a little, line upon line, till we seek and find the treasures that has been left behind in the sea of pages. Each of them. What can we learn and grow from? What lies can be exposed? What truths can be told? Let's check them out. Let's keep moving forward. Shalom, everybody. I hope y'all have a nice night, man. Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your people, man, we out here reading shit, learning shit, doing shit, building shit, growing shit. Trying to be better. Better. That's the objective. Better than you were yesterday. So, man, until next time, let me see what time it is. 4. I'll probably go lay down, maybe. I feel like gonna make me some eggs. I might go eat some fruits. I'll probably do that. If I don't go to sleep, then I might come back later and we'll do Rise and Scripts. I'll come back later and do Rise and Scripts. And we're going to pick back up in 2nd Maccabees and finish off 2nd Maccabees. And we'll rock like that. But till next time, man, I'm Shalo. I'm out here, baby. Shalo out. Shalom, everybody. Hope y'all have a wonderful night.